Love your reaction, and there's you just heard Krista Freeland tell me, Candice Bergen, she believes this is fiscally responsible. She says that there's a declining debt to GDP ratio. Your reaction to this?
Well, I have to smile because I'm seeing her in her beautiful blue dress, trying to sound like a conservative, talking about fiscal responsibility and getting back to being a responsible manager of the finances of the country. But she is spending and creating permanent programs like an NDPer. So, you know, I did have to smile because I think what the Liberals are hearing from many within their own party is that they have abandoned who they are as traditional, even moderate Liberals, and they have moved over the last 7 years so far to the left, they're not even recognizable. And this budget, it is an indication of that, Evan. When you have a windfall of $39 billion collected from Canadians who are suffering under inflation, and the government cannot deliver one iota of tax relief, not one cut in a consumption tax, whether it's GST, cutting the carbon tax, giving tax breaks to families. They couldn't give one tax break and instead create new, permanent, big programs. She can wear blue, but she's orange all the way.
Okay, so let's get specific, because I just want to look at the numbers. The Liberal contention, I love your reaction to this, Candice Bergen, as I look, and I'm just looking at the numbers, folks, is their debt to GDP ratio is dropping. Their deficits they're predicting are going to drop to about $8.5 billion in 5 years. That's according to their numbers. Their revenues, as you know, as you just mentioned, are way up. The Conservatives wanted more money spent on defense. In the last election, certainly your party wanted way more money transferred on health care to about the similar levels as the Liberals. So what about this don't you like?
Well, what we wanted to see was tax cuts for Canadians. We wanted to see a great reduction in government spending, and certainly not spending on new permanent programs. And then we wanted to see real solutions to the housing inflation crisis. And that crisis is because of housing supply, and we didn't see it in this budget. The fact is, if we want to see the inflation become even somewhat under control when it comes to housing prices, we need to see municipalities and cities allow private builders to build more stock, to build more housing. And we're not seeing that. And the program that they've just created, I guess a blend of a TFSA, RRSP type of savings account, will really only help people who can actually save money, who have $8,000 a year to save, which many Canadians don't. And it won't take effect for, I think, 5 or 6 years. So there will be no new house built or no new house purchased under this program.
Okay, so let me just talk about that, because I want to drill down. These are all new programs Canadians are just hearing from. Essentially, the tax-free saving account does allow people to contribute, as you said, but they can contribute tax-free. So it's like an RRSP. Instead of paying tax, they'll actually put it into this first home buyers. You don't think that's effective. What about the $4 billion that municipalities are getting in order to sort of speed up zoning to do what you're saying, to try to build some stock?
Thanks. You know, Evan, giving municipalities more money with no strings attached, just telling them to make sure that builders are allowed to build, will not work. There's a lot of reasons that municipalities and cities are putting up barriers, red tape, fees, not allowing builders to build. And the federal government definitely could have a role to play, whether it's carrots or sticks, to try to incentivize and encourage municipalities to allow builders to build. But I do find it ironic the federal government does healthcare transfers to the provinces with all kinds of parameters, strings attached, but they're going to give money to municipalities with no strings attached. There will not be the result that's needed, which is more housing supply that's required in order to address at least some of the causes of the housing inflation.
How effective, I'm asking you, do you support the ban on foreign investment in Canadian residences for 2 years, or do you think that won't be effective? Do you support the tax on house flipping, selling a home within 12 months of a purchase? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so on the policy of limiting foreign ownership, yes, we support that. What the government has announced today, from what we can see, has a lot of holes in it. There's a lot of gaps. So they haven't actually said there's a ban on foreign ownership. They say that they're limiting it, but there's a lot of holes. So that would be our concern with it. But we definitely agree with the principle and with the idea of limiting foreign ownership of homes in Canada.
What about defense? Not a lot of money in the first year, $224 million for the military this year, $940 million directly to Ukraine, they say, but they're going to boost defense spending in 5 years by $7.2 billion, so 1.5% of GDP. Candice Bergen, your thought?
Well, as you know, Conservatives introduced a motion yesterday, and it was passed in the House of Commons, that called on the government to meet its obligation for NATO spending on defense. So obviously, we're happy to see the announcement. As you and I talked about even a couple of weeks ago, the government has announced money before for defense, and it doesn't get where it needs to go. $10 billion already in defense spending announced, has not reached its target. So we are going to be watching carefully to ensure that the government does use this money to make sure our men and women in uniform have what they need to do the job that they're doing. It would be the same, I would have the same answer for their announcement on support for Ukraine. We support that. We believe it's important. We know there are things right now that, for example, President Zelensky has asked for that they have not delivered on. So It's one thing the government talks a good game, but we want to see it happen. And you know, the sad thing is, Evan, right now there's, as I said, a huge windfall for the government. There are really important areas that the government should be spending money on, including supporting Ukraine and spending money on our defense. And instead, they're creating big programs. And it's on the backs of Canadians who have suffered so greatly with inflation.
I got two quick questions. I know that you do not support the price on carbon, the carbon tax, but your party does support the use of carbon capture and storage. They've got a carbon capture utilization and storage tax credit that would range from 37.5% on equipment and transportation to 60% on equipment to get emissions essentially out of the air. Does your party support the tax credit on carbon capture and storage?
We support initiatives that would encourage carbon capture and storage here in Canada. We think it's an important part of not only meeting our targets in Canada, but just as importantly, helping in reducing emissions globally. Canada has some of the best technologies, and we've seen a bit of an inconsistency with this government, I would say, when it comes to carbon capture and storage. So the credit is a good indicator. You know, we'd like to see them do more, for example, on nuclear. We're very disappointed that they haven't included nuclear in their green bond initiative. So we see, again, some of the indicators are good, but there has to be follow through. And the challenge is they are so heavily influenced by the NDP. So moving forward, even in the next budget and the next few years, how much will they be indebted to the NDP, whether it comes with fulfilling promises of big programs or hurting our oil and gas and other natural resources sectors?
Yeah, well, the NDP is pretty furious that they gave the green light to Bay du Nord. I know you support it, the Liberals support it, the NDP doesn't. Okay, so I got one final question. You've seen the budget. Will the Conservatives support or reject the budget?
Evan, we cannot support an NDP government, an NDP budget, not even an NDP budget delivered by an NDP Liberal government. So that's a no.
That's a no. Okay, no support. Candice Bergen, great to have you on the program. I appreciate it. Big day on Budget Day. I know you got lots going on. Thank you.
Thank you.